Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about systems and processes and how to build systems that allow you, no matter what you're doing, to work a lot less, make more money, and live a simpler business life. Now, I'll give you a bit of background. For a few years, I've run a six-figure agency in the digital space. Now, the way that I approach systems is I was really bad at them at the start. And there are a lot of business owners out there that are bad at systems, because your mind has to work in a certain type of way. Now, I'll give you some backstory. We'll jump straight onto the whiteboard and we're going to visualize the whole process to make it easier. And then we'll talk about how to build systems for the e-com and dropshipping space, as well as digital platforms. Basically, I'm going to show you the framework in how to actually build systems that are repeatable and work efficiently. As I said, I wasn't good at doing systems to begin with. So essentially, just a little backstory. Let me map it out for you. So a client would come to us, we would do the project, we would then give it to the client, and then it was done. Okay? Simple process for project, but a lot of issues kept popping up. And every single time a shit show popped up, I would pause everything and figure out how to systemize it and prevent this same problem from happening again. So for example, a client came to us and they didn't give us enough information in this stage here. So what I did was I implemented an onboarding form, okay? Then we would get all the correct information we would need in this step for the project to mitigate any issues happening again. And then things became a little bit more busy and more convoluted. So we would do the project, we'd give it to the customer or client. Then quality issues popped up. So we implemented a QC checklist and process to mitigate issues going to the client having to come back and tell us. We needed to pick up more issues in this stage of the process. Then, as we scaled up higher and higher, these two systems started struggling because we needed more. And we kept building each step of the way. There was multiple systems along the way to ensure that it essentially ran seamlessly, so that I wouldn't have to be involved in every step as well. Because as an operator, you don't want to be involved in every single step of the way, because your whole day is wasted then. So essentially, I implemented a stage here for reviews and testimonials, right? And referral. So instead of clients coming to me in this step, I implemented a new step in our process for referrals so that existing clients would give us new customers on a loop. So that's a repeating system. So I don't have to go out and get customers or clients. They would come to us from referrals because we did such a good step along this way, because we did such a good project for them. And the project was so seamless that they referred us to other customers and other clients. That allowed me to scale quite rapidly because of all these systems I put into place. Now, in the ecom space, it's a little bit different, and we're going to map that out. But it's a lot harder because honestly, in the ecom space, you as an owner and operator, there's a lot of things you can run yourself. Ecom is one of the very few actual business methods or online digital income streams where you can basically run it yourself to a certain scale. However, that does bring in a few issues. So if we're looking at the ecom space, right? Customer goes to your website. They look at your product page. They decide, yep, I'm going to buy. They buy it. Your supplier or 3PL will then ship out to the customer. And then from there, the customer is happy, done, okay? This is the simplest form of the workflow that happens in the ecom dropshipping space. Now, this is the ideal situation. But if any of you run an ecom store at the moment, you know this is not how it works. And that's because there's a few fundamental issues that pop up along the way. Now, I'm going to give you some examples using my actual store and systems and processes that I've put into place to help mitigate these issues. So, say for example, customer gets the product, it arrives, they are not happy with it. What does that show? That shows an issue with the product and the supplier when it comes to quality checking. The supplier is probably finding bad manufacturers for your product and not quality checking them. So that in itself is a system that can be put into place when you bring on new products. It's as simple as saying to your supplier, is this a high quality product? Is there going to be a lot of returns, for example? Sometimes in the process, you can't actually control that because sometimes suppliers, you don't have that one-on-one connection, which is why having a supplier that is good and is going to work with you with your business goals is really, really important. However, if we take away the QC step, we go back to our simple process, right? This simplified process has so many other additional processes that can be added, for example. So say for your website, right, you need content. You need an AI process for content. However, a simple process that you can implement for the content is once the product customer receives their order, ask them to send you a photo. That gives you infinite reusable content over and over. This is a simple process here, asking your customer for a testimonial photo. They can just upload it. You can put it straight on the website. That creates an infinite loop, essentially, of content over and over and over. And that's the thing about good systems and processes. They run themselves. So if we take away that example and we go, for example, into your customer service point, right? Let's say the customer service is in this section here. Customer service is super important. It minimizes chargebacks, builds better brand experiences, helps with gaining followers, helps with basically anything. A good customer service process can force your customer to do anything. They can force them to submit photos for your infinite pipeline of content. They can ask for testimonials. They can get real feedback in real time if there's any product related issues, which has happened to me. We've had a few products that weren't as good quality when they arrived, or they didn't have instructions, or they were missing a piece, or it wasn't clear on the website which type of plug they use, USB-C or wall mount, for example. So having a good customer service process allows you to improve your product, allows you to improve your website, and allows you to improve your bottom line by increasing conversion rates because you have better information on that. So around the customer service, and I can make a whole video on just customer service processes, but around customer service, right? You want to make their job as easy as possible to make your job as easy as possible. Because in this basic flow, if you systemize and basically automate as much as you can, that will physically take things off your to-do list, then you're going to be able to spend more time on what actually makes you more money. So when it comes to customer service, right, setting them up with forms, for example, helps a lot for like resolutions or refunds or issues. That way you have a repeatable system where they're not typing in random shit, or they don't have to copy and paste a template. They can just use a form and fill it out all the time. Same with customers, having templates that they can use around responses. All of these little resources add up to saving so much time, money, and also optimizing, because a good system that runs over and over can be optimized and refined, and then it will be literally perfect. So if we strip all of this back, what made me really good at systems is one of two things. Okay. Now, option one was every single time something like my agency was going, there was something that broke. And then instead of fixing this issue, like a hot fix, which is what most people do, I would stop everything. We would literally stop the project and figure out a system that would go in this place to prevent that issue from happening. Now, if you do this enough over and over and over and iterate and putting in these minor situational systems, then over the long run, a lot of these little headaches don't pop up again because you've got your systems in place. They're running automatically. So by me implementing that, every single time something went wrong and I was sitting there thinking, what is going on? Why is this breaking? That's when I stopped, put systems in place, right? Another thing that really helped me is a few years ago, I was playing this game, right? And it was a factory building game, which doesn't sound very fun, but it taught me a lot about business, surprisingly. So let's say you have a factory, right? Your factory is here, and the end goal is a car. Now, this is going to be a horrible drawing of a car, but there you go. There's your car, right? That's the end goal. Now, in this game, you had to connect all the parts. So let's say you needed cogwheels and you needed windows, for example. Then you needed the little bolts for each of the wheels. You need all the individual components, right? What you had to do was you started the factory, you then prepared all the wheels, and then you'd put the wheels in one section ready to go. And then all the nuts, right? You would then move them into another section ready to go. Same with the windows. So essentially you've got 3 rooms, one with the cogs, one with the nuts, one with the windows. Instead of a system where it just goes straight from factory to building the cogs, building the nuts, building the windows, and then building the car, that has so many breaking points because each system needs to be optimized for the most efficient flow in the building process, like building a Lego house. However, if you're building the parts separately and you have them stored, all you need for the car is an assembly line. So all you need is the cogs, the spokes, and the windows. It comes in, adds, and then adds. This game taught me so much about how to build systems because a lot of the time when you try to automate, and when I talk about systems, I'm meaning AI systems, I'm meaning automations, manual systems, whatever. They all follow the same principle. And when it comes to building these systems, the thing that's really, really important is simplifying and not making it too complicated. It's better to have 100 systems that work simultaneously than having one master system. Because if you've got one master system, so many sections along the way can break. And if it's a one master system, this break here ruins the whole rest of the flow. Everything stops. So then you're back on the tools manually fixing issues. Whereas if you don't have a master setup and you have these granular systems that all plug into each other, then it makes it a lot simpler and easier because if this one breaks, the system can just skip it and keep going. And I know that you have to be you need to be a certain technical gifted mindset to kind of pull off these master systems. But if you think about a factory, using that factory analogy helps a lot because let's say your goal is to get 100 products on your ecom store, right? You want 100 products. Your product is here. What systems can we put into place for this? 1, you need product information. Okay? Then you need content. Then you need your supplier to be briefed in. Then you need customer support to be briefed in because new product comes with new questions. So this allows for so many minor systems that come into place. Product info, you could literally have a form that has standardized information that you then put into your Shopify store. Content, you can have a formula of systems that you need. You need a studio shot, for example. You need a lifestyle photo. You need a detailed photo. You need a product in use photo. That's 4 photos that you need every single time. That's a simple system you can build. Same with supplier, sending the links out or telling them this is the product I want with all the unified information like dimensions or electronics or components or whatever it is that you're selling. If you're selling tennis balls and you want to sell them in a pack of 5, instead of just sending the supplier the tennis ball link, you tell them all the information. This color, this size, this brand, this quantity. So they have all that information ready to go, almost like a spec sheet. Because if you can systemize your process, you can then go to your supplier and systemize how you give them information to then increase their efficiency. You can go to your customer service and give them more information and systems to increase their efficiency. And as you scale your team and you add new people to your company, those systems are repeatable. A good system can be given to someone else and they can perfectly start using the system. There's no questions, there's no what ifs, there's no breaking points because you've refined it. It allows you to essentially go from working 40 hours a week. If you have enough good systems and resources, then obviously You need good team members to be able to pull this off properly. But it allows you to go from 40 hours of working down to like 5. Like, if we're honest, if your systems are running perfectly, then it allows you to literally work less, make more money, work less, become more efficient. So when I talk about systems, it's not just automation. It's not just forms. It's not just all of that. It's honestly even just having a team member and having systems of delegation where certain things are delegated to this person and certain things are delegated to that person. As you grow in any company, and this is what I did in the agency space as well, is you grow and then you keep growing. Having a system that you can give a person below you allows you to grow. You bring in enough revenue and resources, that person can give the same system that you gave onwards, and you keep building the pyramid up so that you end up basically doing nothing. And these systems repeat over and over again. They're infinite loops if they're done properly. So it allows you to transition from working on your business to working in your business and vice versa. You don't want to work in your business. You want to work out of your business. You want to work on its growth. Working in means you're providing all the services, problem solving, and all these issues. With good systems, you don't have to work in the business. You can work on it to grow it further. With my systems now in the ecom space, I don't really have to work on finding products. I have a system for that. I have someone in-house that finds my products for me. When it comes to customer service, I don't have to deal with customers because I have forms set up and processes so my customer service can manage everything themselves. My honest day-to-day in my ecom business is strategy and horizontal scaling and ad spend and all of those granular things. But without all these systems, I would have to be working inside the business. I'd have to be adding new products. I'd have to be adding all this information to the store, customer, all of that. With my systems, I don't do any of that. So genuinely, the key takeaway from this whole rant about systems is that a good system will allow you to work less. And no one is born good at systems. What I find really interesting for me personally is looking at videos like Mr. Beast behind the scenes, how they build these sets and the production processes and all of that. Because these guys that you're watching, for example, Mr. Beast, he is the biggest YouTuber in the world, but the only way he got there is because he had systems and processes that allowed him to scale rapidly and do multiple shoots. So I even sit there with my partner. We watch how lolly snakes are made because it's just, I find it interesting. And that workflow from A to B to C, constantly going like this on the supply chain, makes me think, where can I implement something better in my systems and processes? So if you're not system orientated and you don't think that way, the easiest thing to do is imagine how a factory would achieve my end result. If your end result is, let's say, your goal is to make $1 million, right? Your goal is to make $1 million revenue. How do you get to that? What systems do you need to make? First of all, you need to make a repeating system that allows you to make the daily amount. Let me calculate it for you. $1 million divided by 365 is $2,730. What system do I need to build to get to that amount every single day? Okay, I need to have, let's say it's ecom. I need to have a store that makes that. If my average order value is $250, which is really good, let's say 2,000 divided by 250, I need 10.9 orders a day. Let's just round that up to 11 orders a day. 11 orders, right? What system do I need to get there? I need ad content. I need customer service. I need supplier. I need new products. I need brand building. You can literally map out your goal to getting to $1 million. You need $2,730 a day, which is 11 orders. How do I get 11 orders? Well, first of all, I need to make sure that I don't cancel them or get refunds, because then that lowers the amount of daily orders and that increases the amount I actually need. So if you have good customer service, you don't have to worry about losing those orders. If you have a good supplier, that mitigates losing orders as well. I would say that when it comes to building systems, there are two types of systems. There is a positive charge and a negative charge around systems, right? Customer service and good supplier, I honestly would say are negative charged systems and processes, right? They're negative. And how are they negative? That's because if something breaks in this system, it causes a negative outcome. I lose sales, I have to return orders, I lose revenue, and it takes me away from that 11 order goal a day. So when it comes to positive systems, new products is a positive system, ads and focusing on brand, as well as building out a team, are positive systems because they add positive growth to the business, which gets me closer to that goal. So that also helps when you're building systems as well, because if something keeps breaking or you having to keep return a certain product or customers complain about a certain product, that shows that there's a negative system that needs to be put in place to minimize the negative impact of that product. You can build positive and negative systems in absolutely every area of your life. But I want to end the video here because I don't want it to become too long. But if you ever have any questions about systems or processes, you can leave a comment in the YouTube videos and I'll get back to them. I love this. I build mind maps and workflows and systems all the time for my businesses and friends' businesses because my goal is to work less. My goal is to sit here and do videos all day if I want. My goal is to spend time with my partner and not have to work. Having these repeatable systems that operate in the background without me involved allow me to do that. So the key takeaway is systems will make or break your business. If you do them properly, you'll win. If you don't have systems, then you're going to be doing a lot of manual headache constantly yourself. So in the future, I'm going to release a video around more granular systems that'll go deeper in that. So make sure you're subscribed. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, as I said, leave a comment and I'll see you in the next video.